So we're all aware of the big cards that every Flesh and Blood player will eventually want to get, the ones that ultimately drive our discussions on cost. But today we're breaking down the essential generic tech cards that every Flesh and Blood player needs to have in their collection to survive changing metas. From shutting down explosive go-wide turns to dismantling complex synergies, these flexible tools are the silver bullets that can win you games. And the fun part is that since they aren't needed in every single meta, with the right timing and some patience, you can often get them for cheap. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for tuning in here on your Flesh and Blood Monday. Now, with another set on the horizon and some heroes set to LL pretty soon, we are facing yet another meta shift, or two or three, as it may be. And as we all know, when we go into new metas, the sideboard cards that we so choose to include, depending on who's popular, who's not, and who we need to survive, depending on the hero we're playing, well, that can change significantly. But today's cards are the tools that I believe everyone should have in their arsenal, so to speak, to survive changing metas. Beer, anyone? Because this round's on me. This is an interesting little card that hasn't seen a ton of play as of late, but obviously is poised to explode should we ever see another massively go-wide hero. This round's on me is a standout generic tech card because it acts as a unique global debuff that can effectively stall high-velocity turns from wide attacking heroes. By giving all attacks that target you -1 power until your next turn, it disrupts critical breakpoints and on-hit triggers across an entire combat chain for the low cost of a single resource. While the card does grant each hero a draw, this symmetric effect is often a strategic advantage for you as well. It allows you to refuel your hand for a powerful counterattack, while simultaneously weakening the very cards your opponent just drew. Additionally, as itself a blue pitch card, it provides excellent late-game resource consistency when it isn't being used to mitigate a massive offensive push. Due to its lack of current role though, it sits at a very affordable price. Pick up one or two for your future sideboard uses. Poison the Well is a tech card out of Dusk Till Dawn that does one specific thing: punish your opponent for gaining life. Instead of gaining, they lose it instead. Poison the Well is an essential generic tech card because it provides a unique silver bullet solution to life gain strategies that can otherwise feel quite impossible to outpace. By turning an opponent's healing into direct life lost, it effectively creates a massive damage swing for 0 resource cost, punishing decks that rely on cards like Sigil of Solace. Because it is a blue pitch instant, it remains highly flexible, serving as a resource generator early and remaining ready to be played from hand or arsenal the moment an opponent attempts to stabilize. With the era of CYB past us, Poison the Well isn't as essential as it was, but with the rise of Verdance in the meta, demand is back again, putting this card in the $15 range. But fret not, my friends, this card's sawtooth price pattern is exactly what you'd expect of such a tech card. When demand wanes, grab up this baby so you're ready for the next time. In Dusk Till Dawn, we got Hold the Line, a blue 0 defense reaction that only blocked for 2. Now while on curve, sure, and a blue, sure, it wasn't all that attractive on release because its trigger wasn't all that common in the meta. But with heavy hitters and the rise of armed Kayo, that's right, all of a sudden the opponent drawing 2 cards and turning on the 3 prevention effect, not too shabby. And note also that the 3 prevention isn't the next time you suffer, but rather it carries for the entire turn, helping to cover bleed or just an outright hit. Hold the Line is a powerful generic tech card because it provides a specialized defensive power spike against decks that rely on heavy card draw to fuel explosive turns. If an opponent draws 2 or more cards, a common occurrence for heroes like Kayo, FaB, or Briar, it prevents the next 3 damage dealt to you, effectively acting as a 5 block value for 0 resources. Its nature as a blue pitch defense reaction ensures it's also never a dead card. In matchups where the opponent isn't drawing extra cards, it still functions as a high resource pitch or a standard 2 block from hand. By punishing high velocity turns, it forces opponents to either play suboptimally to avoid the trigger, or face a significant damage reduction that can stall their momentum. And sitting at 4 USD right now, when it was as high as the mid-teens in the past, seems like a good time to keep an eye on the card for your collection. Snag is a zero-cost blue instant out of Crucible of War that, in essence, debuffs attacks. Attack action cards can't gain attack from their own effects, or the effects of an attack reaction for the rest of the turn. This can serve to shut down one big buffed attack, or to remove a universal attack buff on a go-wide turn. Snag is a vital generic tech card because it acts as a total shutdown for pump strategies. Its value lies in its efficiency as a zero-cost blue pitch instant, allowing it to be played at any time, even in response to a lethal pummel. Because the rules outlines that its effect applies retroactively, Snag can effectively reset an attack's power to base even after the opponent has already resolved multiple buffs, making it the ultimate safety net against explosive buffed attack turns. Snag is a card with an interesting history in terms of price demand. On initial release, it was one of the lower cards in the set, but as metas evolved, it exploded in price. Not only was crew gone, but certain heroes demanded it as a tech slot. The card grew in price so much during the new meta, and again in the ASC meta, as a response to none other than Bonds of Agony. And while that is gone and we've had a reprint, the card sits at a price worth thinking about as a permanent addition to your sideboard arsenal. Now, the next three cards we're going to discuss together, because in many ways they kind of cover the same slots. All are 2/6s, all are poppers, and each one of them carries devastating on hits for the right matchup. And two of them, boo on you erase face, even block for 3. But what's fun about these cards is that you don't even really need a playset. Running 2 of them is pretty common practice, and again, their slots in your sideboard can rotate as the meta dictates. The weakest link is devastating against heroes that play offensive instants. Not only do those instants not block, but they get ripped from hand. In many cases, playing a weakest link against the right hero can serve as a time walk of sorts. Weakest link was at its best during the Part the Mistveil days, and did pretty well against Aurora at her peak. Obviously, both of those days have passed, but yet, at the same time, folks aren't opening Mistveil anymore, and hence this card has held stable at pretty high value. Maybe too rich for some people's blood, but rest assured, this card will be in demand in the near future. Amnesia's on-hit effect forces all cards and tokens the opponent owns to lose their names, effectively dismantling decks that rely on specific card name synergies. This hit is devastating against Katsu, as it breaks the combo chain by making cards nameless, and cripples Prism by preventing her from interacting with heralds or specific figments. And back in the Zen days looking for kitties? Forget about it. By stripping away the identity of an opponent's entire kit for a turn, Amnesia can turn a highly complex synergistic engine into a pile of vanilla cards with no way to trigger their best abilities. And sitting at $5, pick up 1 or 2, as it's probably all you'll ever need. Finally, we reach Erase Face, the one that has most often been useful as it hits talents pretty hard, causing your opponent's cards to lose their identity for the next turn. Erase Face is a critical generic tech card because its on-hit effect strips all class and talent types from the opponent's cards, effectively disabling the core engine of almost any synergy-based deck. By turning off labels like Draconic, Ninja, Lightning, or even Mechanologist, it prevents heroes from using class-specific abilities, such as FaB's Chain Links, Dash's ability to boost, or Aurora's Lightning synergy. It also functions as a popper with its 6 power, making it a dual-purpose threat that provides both high-impact disruption and a way to pop Illusionist attacks. Because many modern heroes rely on specific card types to function, a single hit from Erase Face can often reduce an opponent's high-power turn into a series of disconnected, inefficient actions. Or, at the very least, it forces a block. Unfortunately, given its utility, Erase Face isn't cheap, and likely won't come down all that much, given that talents are kinda all the rage. Is that really all you got? Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Out of Uprising of all sets, this card was originally super cheap. I remember back in the day, I picked up 5 of them because they were listed for $1.50, so I bought out that entire listing, and I've never regretted having extras as I love this card. That All You Got is a staple generic tech card because it provides one of the few ways to effectively block and draw, allowing you to maintain defensive stability without sacrificing your next turn's offensive pressure. As a zero-cost D-React, it slots into almost any deck to punish go-wide strategies. If it defends an attack with 2 or less power, such as a Kodachi or a Warrior Small Chip damage, it allows you to draw a card, replacing the card you just spent to block. This makes that all you got a premier counter to decks that rely on multiple small attacks to wear you down. The card currently sits on the higher side of its historical pricing, driven primarily right now by the popularity of Kassai. And it doesn't hurt that it can also potentially get advantage off pokey little daggers as well. But watch this over time and get that playset as the opportunity arises. Veterans of the game know that there's always the looming threat of Illusionist attacks, and thus have to respect the poppers. Down and Dirty is an attack action card out of Outsiders that serves as a 6 attack popper, but with one fun little bonus. It can defend from Arsenal. That's right, the original Ambush Before There Was Ambush card, and it's a popper. This card is incredibly useful for aggro decks who desire to run poppers, but don't want to have to risk IPing themselves if they either draw it on a turn where they have momentum, or one where the opponent doesn't play a Phantasm attack. Instead of clogging up the hand and sending a signal to the opponent, that's right, drop this baby in your arsenal, draw up, and do it all over again. This specific interaction is a sidestep to the Dominate keyword, as it provides a way to add a second defensive card to the chain when you would otherwise be restricted to just one from hand. And it also of course serves as a premier Phantasm popper against Illusionist. By sitting in your arsenal, it keeps your hand free for offensive pressure while remaining an on-demand 6-power threat to destroy their Phantasm attacks. It's been a while, all the way back to the Dromai days when this card was in the mid-teens. But right now, it sits at an incredibly attractive price. Time to pick up a playset? I think so. And our number one should come as no surprise to longtime fans of the channel, and that is none other than Exude Confidence. A red 0 4-attack action out of Monarch. Exude Confidence prevents the opponent from playing defense reactions or instants while this card is not defended by a card with equal or greater attack. And with each blue pitch card, Exude can gain +2 attack, but do note it's only while attacking, which means that this can't become a popper. Exude Confidence is a massive generic tech card because its modular options allow it to adapt to almost any matchup, whether you need to break through a high defense deck or shut down an opponent's combat tricks. Its ability to prevent the opponent from playing instants or D-reacts makes it a lethal finisher that strips away the safety net many control players rely on. Furthermore, because it scales its power and effects based on its current attack value, it rewards decks that can provide buffs, turning a simple generic into a massive unblockable threat. Exude Confidence continues to be the poster child for cheap tech cards, coming in at $1. But rest assured, when a hero like Aurora returns, this is a card you'll wish you had 3 of. But again, if you've been watching for years, you probably already have your playset, because I mean, come on, right? So there we have it, my friends, my top picks for those sneaky little sideboard cards that we want to make sure we've got in our binders, our BCW boxes, that is if they aren't already sleeved up. And again, if you don't have them, what you can do is watch between meta and meta and try and snipe when they're at their lows, and then put them in your BCW box or your binder or your card sleeves, whatever it may be. So anyway, thanks for joining. Let me know your feedback below. And of course, my friends, go Commando.